Hello everybody and welcome back. As you can see behind me, we're in the shop with the Rotator, and today we're going to be doing some maintenance on it. We'll take you guys up here. As you can see, there's been some oil leaking out of the winch. Actually, both winches were having some of the main gear case oil leaking out of them. So the driver's side winch, we've already taken it apart and done the repairs. So now it's time to do the passenger side winch, and so we decided to make a video about it, of removing it from the truck, the pull down, and doing the repair itself. So we kind of looked all over YouTube to try to find, and was unable to find any pull down videos or repair videos for the Ramsey HDP 40,000 pound winch. So we're gonna get started here and take you guys along, so stay tuned. Okay, so first we're gonna get started by backing off the tensioner airbags. And then we will just disconnect the airline. And these are a quick fitting, so just push in and pull out on the airline. And then I've got two caps here. We'll cap that one off. And then we'll put the air back so we can still use the maintains tension on the driver's side winch. Okay, then the next thing, we're going to disconnect the free spool line, or hose. So this line's not cooperating, so we're just going to cut it, and it's got plenty of space to use later to still attach it. And we'll cap it as well. Okay, now we're going to remove all of the bolts that hold the winch to the truck. And as you can see, we've already pre-marked out all of the paint marks just so we know and can put it back exactly the same way it came apart. Okay, so now before we pull the bolts and nuts out, we're going to disconnect the winch. So there's two lines, we've pre-marked them. The solenoid for the 2-speed, we've marked them. We'll just remove those. And then we have fittings here to cap off the lines, or cap off the motor and up. Back up a fuzz. Okay, tilt. More. Now we're removing the motor off of the end of the winch. Got to break the gasket. Okay, so if we look here, everything seems to be fine on this end. Now, this end is the winch brake, which is, my understanding, is manufactured differently from an outside supplier other than Ramsey winch. So what I've been told is if you have to work or repair or replace any of that, you purchase the entire winch brake. The two Allen headed bolts are what holds it on. So yeah, but everything on this end looks fine. So now we can tip the winch up and start the disassembly. Okay. Forget it. So we've got the cage off. Now we're going to just pull these alignment bolts, and then it will pull the angle pieces off of the winch. Right. Yeah.
This one fell apart.
Did it?
The bottom one? He barely touched it. What the hell?
This one too. So I'm gonna about guess that that one's probably full of rust. Okay, so we had a little bit of an issue getting the alignment bolts out. A couple of them had threads full of some gunk, so put a little bit of heat to it, got them off, but now we're ready to take off the gear case cap. Then we'll pull the gear case housing, and then our shift cylinder and clutch is inside there, and we'll just pull it apart piece by piece. Blow the crap away from the thread holes. Okay, now once you get to the cap will come off pretty easily. The gear case and gearbox in here is pretty heavy, but once you get that off, the cylinder has springs down in the main winch casting pushing outward to keep the clutch engaged. So just keep that in mind, that when you start pulling it apart, there will be springs eventually start coming out. Keep in mind and watch, there is a thrust washer on the end of the drum here, or the gear case cap, so watch for that. Next we'll pull out the, I don't know if that's called drive gear or what, but yeah. Okay. Let's so we can get these started under the edge, at least get some. You place that under. Okay. Pull the gasket if we can. It's definitely got some gunk in it. Okay, so next we're going to pull the gear case apart. And it does take some time because there's a lot of, you get the suction of the oil on holding down on the piece. Okay, then we are down to the shift cylinder, and that should pull right off. However, the springs are actually under here, so we'll give it a light tap. We'll give that a light tap to break the gasket seal, and it should pop right up. Maybe. Okay, so tapping it with the mallet's not working. So if we supply a little bit of pressure, it should throw the clutch down to compress the springs and hopefully pop this cylinder off.
Springs in there?
Yeah. Hold, I'll supply some air and just try to tap on it lightly.
Good. I just got like 4 inches back
Well,
here.
I'm telling you what I think it probably is. So the first winch that we tore apart had no, like, the white sealant. There was nothing on the gaskets. This one's had it on here, this one's had it on the motor, so I'm wondering, is it literally just a difference between who put the thing together and somebody's using no... Well, went past the point now. Yeah, it blew the...
Because now it's I just got this little piece over here.
Okay. Was quite a bit more fun than the first time. Okay. I need to pull the thrust washer. We'll get it. So, right there. So part of the issue, we heard it leaking oil. And if you look, right there's part of one of the O-rings is split out. So that would be indicative of why we heard it leaking air. Now, we're going to pull this, lift it off, and set it over on the, maybe. I gotta break a little bit of, okay. Just don't, okay. Let's stand it up. Hand me a couple of those, the blue. See, that's why it wouldn't come off. So somebody put sealant around the entire gasket surface, which the other one that we pulled apart was not the same way. Got some gunk, just gear case gunk down the bottom. So I'm gonna just tip this over and let it drain. Okay, next we'll pull this. Next we'll pull this. So it's got the key in there, that's fine. Okay, I get more cardboard. Okay. now this is gonna be heavy, so okay, lift it straight up off. Okay, and then that stays in there. I mean, came out once before on the other one, but we pulled that apart differently, so. Okay, so we have the winch pulled apart to make our repairs. We'll have to start the process of cleaning everything up. But if you look at the ends of the castings, you know, those are nice and smooth. There's no apparent you know, marks or gouges. So, you know, the surface where it's riding on the bronze bushings at the end of the drum, you know, that's fine. We'll inspect our bronze bushings, brass bushings, bronze, whatever you want to call them. And here is what we are believing to be the cause of why it's leaking. Those, they're called a quad ring on each side. So we have those new rings already that we had ordered, and then all new gaskets. Here's we've got the clutch mechanism apart, but as you can see, the port where the air goes in, just it supplies air to that. There's an O-ring on the inside of that casting. This fits down inside, and there's that chunk of the O-ring that we saw popped out. So when we free spool the winch, it supplies air to it, and when we could hear air leaking inside, we knew there was some kind of a problem, and assumed that this was the case. One of these two rings would have been broke. So we've got those rings, O-rings, to put on, but yeah, everything else here visually, we'll get a better eye on it once we clean it up. But yeah, take everything to the parts washer, get everything cleaned up, and then we'll be back for the reassembly. So we've got all of the pieces, parts cleaned up. We have our new, the new quad rings, which the old ones are more, the old ones are kind of dried out, kind of hard. As you saw in the video, the one ring on the cylinder was broke, but yeah, we've got all the pieces, parts cleaned up, and then we will take you guys through putting it back together. So all of the parts we're going to be using Super Lube. It's a synthetic grease, and kind of is a little bit easier on the rubber O-rings and whatnot. As you can see, also the breakdown, everything with the orange highlighter is the parts that we've ordered. There's 3 gaskets, 2 of the quad rings, 2 of the cylinder rings, and then the winch motor gasket. I'm just applying a light coating of the grease to all the O-rings and the surfaces where any of the rotating parts will be. Okay, now the drum, if you notice there's a bushing that's flush there, and then the other side's kind of set out. This end goes towards the gearbox, so we will grab this. First we need to put the shaft up through. So we'll put a little grease on that. A little grease down on the inside of there. Slide the shaft in. Okay. Okay, end of the okay, and then this will slide in with the snap ring face down. And then next will be put the other side of the winch casting on. We're going to put these in. These are just Bondo spreaders. When we put the first one in, this helps to take up the gap so it doesn't sit down too far, and then helps to make the side angle iron pieces go back on a little bit easier. Before we put that on, we'll put the thrush washer on the end of the shaft here. Okay. Lube this. Good. Now we'll grab all the springs for the clutch assembly. And, okay, so now we will get the O-rings and put the clutch shift assembly back together. Now the O-ring for this piece is slightly larger diameter than the one that goes on the actual clutch. Okay, so this is the larger one?
This is the big one.
That's the big one. Okay. I'll put this one together first. Now, this one don't necessarily want a lot of grease, because essentially that is an air gap that if you get too much grease, it will not close properly. Right. Okay, now I gotta think about this for a second. So we're gonna put the gasket on. Okay, all the springs appear to be set. So we'll put it goes to the top and flips over. Okay, before we put that on, now the last one, we took 4 of the bolts and kind of just started them in for an alignment, so to speak. Because once it starts to go in, there's no really rotating this piece. So I'll grab this because those have to go. The dogs have to go down in the clutch. Goes on next. I think it's that one. Well, there's some. Okay. Hold up just a minute. Gear in. Okay. So now where's our marks? Other way. It's yellow to yellow. I didn't see that yellow. We're off. A little grease on the end of this. Whatever you'd call it, like a little thrush disc. That bolt in. And I'll give me another one for over here. Alright, so now is this the two yellow lines? So get started.
More or less.
Let's hold it there a minute. Okay. Now Yes. Okay. It's mostly there, I think.
Sorry, viewers.
Sorry, viewers. He says. I know, Will. Okay. Once we get it on, hook the lines back up before we start going wild with it. We gotta cycle the oil through, bleed the air out of the winch brake. So essentially we gotta put a little clear tube on, watch the air bubble, you know, almost like bleeding brakes on a car. Because you can hear it when you're cycling when you're cycling it, and if he opens that up, you can hear the brake engage.
Just pull it in and just move it one way or another, and then we'll get the pump moving. And I'd crack it now. Okay, now go flip the winch in. Now run it normal. Take it full speed. And now backwards full speed. Now the other way, full speed. I'll open it. Okay. I'd say it's good, ain't it?
Okay, so as you guys just watched, we got the winch pulled apart, cleaned up, resealed, new O-rings, gaskets, and as you can see in the background, we do have the winch covers back on. So everything with this one went about as planned. Couple things were a little bit more time consuming compared to the first one. This one, some spots had a little bit more sealant on it, but yeah, overall, we're pleased with the repair. As you can see, we've got it all cleaned up, oil cleaned off, and yeah, it's ready to go back to work and keep making us money. So yeah, we've got a few more projects here. We're going to be starting in the shop. We've got an old we've got one of our grandfather's old wreckers we're going to be pulling the wrecker bed off of and getting that switched over to a newer chassis, and we've got another new unit coming in another week or so. So it's not the Rotator. The Rotator won't be till the beginning of next year, but yeah, exciting things to come for the shop and our future. So hope you guys liked the video. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, drop us a comment, let us know what you thought, and we'll catch you on the next one.